Rick Scott is back in the headlines, making waves with new announcements, big policy moves, and some unexpected twists. His recent activities have caught the attention of both supporters and critics alike, sparking debates across the political spectrum. But what's really driving these moves, and how might they impact not just the US, but the world? As we delve deeper, we'll uncover the motivations behind his decisions and the potential global ramifications. In today's deep dive, we'll look at Rick Scott's recent actions, the buzz surrounding them, and the broader implications for both domestic and international politics. From economic policies to foreign relations, his influence is far-reaching. We'll also explore some surprising insights you probably haven't heard yet. Stay tuned as we break down the key elements of his strategy, the reactions from various stakeholders, and what this means for the future. To understand Rick Scott's latest moves, let's first take a quick look back at his journey. His path to political prominence is as intriguing as it is complex. From a healthcare executive to the governor of Florida, Rick Scott's career has been marked by significant milestones and controversies. His tenure as CEO of Columbia HCA, a major healthcare company, was both lauded for its business success and criticized for its involvement in a massive Medicare fraud scandal. Transitioning from the corporate world to public office, Scott was elected as the governor of Florida in 2010. His time as governor was characterized by a focus on job creation, tax cuts, and a pro-business agenda. However, his policies often sparked debate and drew criticism from various quarters. What makes his background unique is how he's combined business-minded tactics with his political agenda. Scott's approach to governance has always been influenced by his corporate experience, emphasizing efficiency, cost-cutting, and a results-oriented mindset. This blend of business acumen and political strategy has made him a formidable figure in American politics. Now, as a U.S. Senator, Rick Scott continues to be a polarizing figure. His legislative priorities include healthcare reform, fiscal responsibility, and national security. He is known for his outspoken views and willingness to challenge the status quo, often positioning himself as a champion of conservative values. But does this approach serve the public or the powerful? Critics argue that his policies favor the wealthy and corporate interests, while supporters believe his business-oriented strategies are what the country needs. As we delve deeper into his recent actions, it's essential to consider the broader context of his career and the impact of his decisions on both his constituents and the nation. Recently, Scott has put forward new legislation focused on healthcare reform, aiming to reduce costs and increase accessibility for all citizens. This ambitious proposal includes measures to cap prescription drug prices, expand telehealth services, and provide additional funding for rural healthcare facilities. Scott's plan also seeks to streamline the approval process for new medical treatments, ensuring that innovative therapies reach patients more quickly. His proposal has sparked debates on both sides, with some praising it as bold and others as controversial. Supporters argue that the legislation addresses critical issues in the healthcare system, potentially lowering costs for millions of Americans. They believe that by capping prescription drug prices, patients will no longer have to choose between their health and their finances. Additionally, expanding telehealth services could make healthcare more accessible, especially for those in remote areas. However, critics are concerned about the potential unintended consequences of the legislation. They worry that capping drug prices might stifle innovation in the pharmaceutical industry, leading to fewer new treatments being developed. Some also question whether the proposed funding for rural healthcare facilities will be sufficient to address the unique challenges faced by these communities. Political analysts are divided, with some seeing the legislation as a necessary step forward, while others view it as a risky gamble. This legislation could reshape key policies, but it also raises questions about who stands to gain the most. Is this a move to benefit the public, or something else entirely? Some skeptics suggest that the proposal might be more about political maneuvering than genuine reform. They point to the timing of the legislation, suggesting that it could be an attempt to gain favor with voters ahead of upcoming elections. Others argue that the focus on healthcare is a strategic move to address one of the most pressing issues facing the country today. As the debate continues, one thing is clear. The outcome of this legislation will have far-reaching implications for the future of healthcare in America. Will it succeed in making healthcare more affordable and accessible, or will it fall short of its ambitious goals? Hold on to find out. People are asking, what's his endgame? This question has been on the minds of many ever since Scott began making waves in the political arena. His actions have been scrutinized, analyzed, and debated by pundits and the public alike. But what is it that drives him? What are the unseen motives behind his every move? Some say it's a bid for higher office, a calculated effort to climb the political ladder. They point to his recent speeches, his strategic appearances, and his growing influence within the party. His supporters rally behind him, believing in his vision and leadership. But is it just about ambition, or is there something more? Others think he's setting the stage for more radical reforms. They argue that his policies and proposals indicate a desire to shake up the status quo, to bring about significant changes that could redefine the political landscape. His meetings with advisors, his discussions behind closed doors, all hint at a grand plan in the making. But what exactly is he planning? In fact, insiders hint that Scott might be aligning himself with influential figures or political blocs. These alliances could be the key to understanding his true intentions. By forging these connections, he could be positioning himself for a major role in the future. But who are these figures, and what do they stand for? And how does Scott fit into this larger picture? Could this be a calculated step towards something bigger? Like a master chess player, Scott seems to be thinking several moves ahead. Each decision, each alliance, each public statement could be part of a larger strategy. But what is the end game? Is it a bid for national leadership, a push for sweeping reforms, or something else entirely? Trying to read a politician's mind is like predicting Florida's weather. Good luck with that. Just when you think you have it figured out, everything changes. Scott's actions are no different. One moment he's advocating for one policy, the next, he's shifting gears. It's a constant game of anticipation and reaction, leaving everyone guessing. And if that wasn't enough, his foreign policy stance is making waves too. His recent comments on international relations have sparked debates and raised eyebrows. Is he positioning himself as a global leader, or is this another piece of his domestic strategy? The implications of his foreign policy moves could be far-reaching, affecting not just his political career, but the nation's standing on the world stage. Beyond the political maneuvers, there's also the personal side of Scott. His interactions with the community, his efforts to connect with everyday people, all paint a picture of a man who is deeply invested in his role. But is this genuine, or is it another layer of his political strategy? The line between personal and political is often blurred, making it even harder to discern his true motives. History is filled with leaders whose motives were questioned, whose actions were dissected. Scott is just the latest in a long line of politicians whose true intentions remain a mystery. As we continue to watch his moves, one thing is certain: the story of Scott's political journey is far from over. Whether he's driven by ambition, a desire for reform, or something else entirely, only time will tell. As we delve deeper into Scott's political maneuvers, it becomes clear that his journey is a complex one. Each step he takes, each decision he makes, adds another layer to the enigma that is Rick Scott. The questions remain: what drives him? What are his true motives? And how will his actions shape the future of the political landscape? Only time will reveal the answers, but one thing is for sure: Scott's story is one that will continue to captivate and intrigue us all. Scott has been vocal on issues that affect international relations, specifically regarding his stance may strengthen ties with some nations while straining others, especially as the world watches U.S. policy shifts. If he continues on this path, we could see major shifts in... Is Scott ready to be the U.S.'s new global spokesperson? Not so fast. But what does this mean for domestic issues? From healthcare to education, Scott's influence has started reaching various sectors. Recently he's proposed this move could lead to, but some critics argue, could these policies spark a ripple effect in American society? With his hands in both domestic and international policy, Scott's future moves are bound to keep us guessing. Whether he's eyeing a larger role or doubling down on his current one, his actions are sure to have far-reaching consequences. So, where will his path lead? And here's where things get really interesting. Imagine if, would it shift the U.S. political landscape entirely? Curious to learn about more world-shaping moves? Don't miss our next video on why India's space missions are surprisingly affordable. It's a story of innovation, determination, and big surprises that the world didn't see coming. Click here to watch.